Hello there guys, welcome to another of my live videos, and today I'm just be officially updating you on some more latest news. So if you do consider drop your likes, and if you do consider subscriber to the channel as always. So there's a lot to negotiate on this video today, but just going to give you some more additional information in regards to Nemanja Matic, like I've been updating you in the last couple of days. So reportedly Nemanja Matic is wanted by four clubs next summer, and them four clubs are Juventus, AC Milan, Inter Milan, and of course Borussia Dortmund. So in that aspect, there is a host of Italian clubs that are interested in Nemanja Matic. Now we do know that that Italy has been a popular destination, for some of our players this summer, because we do know Lukaku, Alexis Sanchez, Matteo Darmian, and Chris Smalling have all left Manchester United, to go to Italy. But I think it would be beneficial, if Manchester United, did get rid of Nemanja Matic, because we do know that he is one of the problematic players at the football club, and he has initially lost his place in the team to Scott McTominay. Nemanja Matic was first choice last season. Actually, he was first choice last season, but he is no longer first choice due to his inconsistency, and only made his first start of the Premier League season in the 1-0 victory over Leicester last weekend. But I think, the Nemanja Matic has given his overarching view, and he's actually infuriated, the lack of playing time at Manchester United. Is Nemanja Matic. I think he actually does want to leave the football club. Obviously, we do know that he's got under a year left on his contract, so his contract expires at the end of the season. His current contract, but the Manchester United do have an option, to extend his contract by a further year. But we do know that he's a very, very inconsistent player. He's too slow, makes that midfield, look totally imbalanced. And I think the vast majority of Manchester United fans, do want him out of the football club. Matic has made 88 appearances for Manchester United, or is it 89 appearances in all competitions? Around 66 of those appearances have come in the Premier League. This is now his third season as a Manchester United player. Obviously, he's been here since the Jose Mourinho era. Obviously, we paid around £40 million to him from Chelsea back in 2017. But yeah, we have seen glimpses, we have seen glimpses, of how good, Nemanja Matic can be, so far, in his career with Manchester United, but mainly, has been inconsistent. Also, he's aging up, he isn't getting any younger. He is now 31 years of age. So it would be very beneficial, if Manchester United could move him on. Is there any possibility, chance that Man United, could move him on in January and try to cash in for the player? But yeah, now these hosts of clubs that are interested in signing Nemanja Matic on a free transfer. We do know that Juventus are known for getting players on free transfers in recent years. Don't forget, they did it recently with Emre Can. They did it obviously with Adrian Rabiot and Aaron Ramsey this summer. So possibly could he make a move to Juventus? So now reportedly these four clubs that are in for Nemanja Matic, and that the only main factor reason why Matic played in the 1-0 victory of Leicester was due to the absence of Paul Pogba. But yeah, I think despite the fact that a lot of players have left, now since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's arrival. Obviously, we do know Antonio Valencia left at the end of last season after he served 10 years at Manchester United, so he was a long-serving player at the football club. Smalling left the football club, but despite the fact Smalling leaving, we've still got 6 centre-backs in the team. Obviously, Darmian left the football club. Obviously, Herrera and Marion Fellaini left the football club, and it was disappointing, that we didn't recruit a replacement for Ander Herrera and Marion Fellaini. Obviously, Ander Herrera, well, he had 5 successful years at Manchester United. He had some rough patches, but analysing the majority of his career, I thought Ander Herrera, did really, really well. You could arguably say he was one of our best players, since the Alex Ferguson era. So, like I said, it was bad business from the club, letting his contract run down and letting him go on a free transfer. That was bad business from the football club. Fellaini served 6 years at Manchester United. Analysing the majority of his career when he was at Man United, he was, mainly inconsistent. Obviously, Lukaku left the football club. I was happy, in that aspect, the money we did generate from his departure, we basically recouped the money that we did pay for him from Everton a couple of years ago. And obviously, Sanchez left the football club. So quite a few players have been loaned out. Don't forget, a couple of goalkeepers have been loaned out. Don't forget, Dean Henson went on loan to Sheffield United. Also, Joe Pereira's gone out on loan to Hearts in Scotland. But despite the fact all them players leaving, I still say, United is now problematic players at the football club, that do need to leave. And obviously, like I said, Matic is now, going to find game time very, very difficult. But I think Matic, quite recently, praised Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, regarding his faith in the youngsters, because I credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the aspects, that he has, got a lot of trust with in his young players. But yeah, like I said, these 4 clubs now that are in for Nemanja Matic. But like I said, he's going to find game time very, very difficult this season. So hopefully we can move him on, either in January or next summer. But I do believe he's not the only player, that does need to leave Manchester United. I think there's, other problematic players at the football club. I think there's other problematic players at the football club. I think Phil Jones is one of the problematic players at the football club now. I think, he needs to be moved on in January or next summer. Obviously, we do know that Phil Jones is one of the problematic players at the football club. Jones has been at Manchester United 8 years. He's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. We do know that he's going to find game time very, very difficult this season. Obviously, especially, following the arrival of Harry Maguire. And I think, he needs to be moved on. Don't forget the club give Jones a new long-term contract last season. I think also Ashley Young, he should be moved on at the end of the season. It's probably more than likely he will leave Manchester United at the end of the season. Don't forget Ashley Young, signed a new 1 year. He signed a 1 year extension last season. Young's been a long-serving player at the football club. He's been here 8 years. He's now into his 9th season as a Manchester United player. Like I said, Ashley Young has played in the last 2 games. Obviously, it's reflecting on the amount of injuries we've had. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's obviously, had to make alterations in the squad, but Young's played at left back in the last 2 games. I'll credit Ashley Young in the aspects. I thought he did actually quite well against Leicester, but he's predominantly right back. But obviously we played him at left back, so obviously he was fulfilling Luke Shaw's role. But I think Young's past his sell-by date, because obviously it's reflecting on his age. He is now 34 years of age. I think he's 35 years of age next year, so maybe needs to be moved on at the end of the season. Definitely. Marcus Rojo, now he's another problematic player at the football club. Now I think he needs to be moved on in January or next summer. Does Marcus Rojo? Don't forget, throughout the course of the summer, he was subjected to quite a lot of transfer speculation with Rojo, and at one point, it was looking very imminent. He was going to be leaving the football club. Like I said, Everton inquired about getting him on deadline day. I believe we put around the £25 million valuation on Rojo. Rojo has got just under 2 years left on his contract with Manchester United. Like I said, a host of other clubs, went in for Rojo, but Solskjaer actually confirmed whilst the European transfer window was open. This was prior to the Southampton game that Rojo would be staying at the football club. Rojo's versatility is very, very good, so it is good in that aspect because he can play as a left back, a wing back, but he's actually primarily a centre half. Is Marcus Rojo, so I think the club also needs to consider getting rid of him in January or next summer. But like I said, in regards to Nemanja Matic, he definitely needs to leave the football club. And like I did say, the likes of Fred Pereira, or Fred Pereira, or McTominay, or even Angel Gomez, they're much better options than Nemanja Matic in that midfield. I think, Matic needs to be dropped. I think he needs to be dropped. He needs to keep being dropped more often. I think Fred, deserves more opportunities at the football club, because Solskjaer did say, he expects to see better things from Fred this season. Obviously, analysing Fred's career at Manchester United so far, it hasn't been too good. He hasn't performed to the same sort of level, as he did do at Shakhtar Donetsk. Because analysing him at Shakhtar Donetsk, he was an exceptional player, but hasn't mainly, replicated this at Manchester United. He's only been at the club since last summer. Man United paid just under £50 million for him, but Fred, never really got the opportunity under Jose Mourinho. I thought Fred did really, really well when he came on, in the 1-0 victory against Leicester, but I think he's more mobile and better on the ball than the Nemanja Matic, without a shadow of a doubt. I think in regards to Andres Pereira, I think he's been a bit below par in the last 2 games. He has started. Again, I don't know if he's a long-term solution for Manchester United, so I have got element of concerns about that. But yeah, he's still very, very young. And I think, McTominay, should keep his place in the team. Obviously, reflecting on his impressive performances so far this season. I have been, really, really impressed with Scott McTominay. He has really stepped up to the plate. In regards to him being a long-term solution for Man United, in that aspect, I've got an element of concerns. But I think, so far this season, he's been fantastic. He was also really, really good throughout pre-season. So he does, deserve to keep his place in the team. He's been playing between the lines well. His defensive contributions been very, very good. Mainly so far this season, he has been mainly playing alongside Paul Pogba. He played alongside the Man U matches against Leicester because matches, like I said, only started, due to Paul Pogba's absence. But McTominay, has done really, really well. In regards to Angel Gomez now, I don't think he's played yet so far this season. I'm surprised, he didn't play against Leicester. Or I'm surprised, he wasn't involved against Southampton, because don't forget, Angel Gomez is another one of our midfield options. He didn't, as you say, he's going to be a big part of the squad this season. But like I did say to you guys, we've still got quite a few midfielders in the squad, despite the fact that Ander Herrera, Marion Fellaini left. But like I did say, the board didn't recommend any sufficient, midfielders or any sufficient attackers. So in that aspect, I've got element of concerns. And that midfield area, is one of the priority areas, where Manchester United, do need to strengthen up in, January and perhaps next summer. So I have got a lot of element of concerns about that midfield. I think, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's confirmed, he does want to continue the policy, of signing them young British players, but, you can still see the deficiencies in the squad. I'll credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in the aspect, that he did, recommend, 3 good players to the club earlier on in the summer. We spent over £140 million on Daniel James and Wan-Bissaka, and of course on Harry Maguire. And obviously they're our first 3 signings under the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era, because obviously this has only been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first summer as Manchester United manager. But I think, Daniel James has done really, really well. He's had a fantastic start to his Man United career. He's already scored 3 goals so far this season. Obviously we do know he's supposed to be more effective from that left. He can also, play out on the right. But he's only 21 years of age, don't forget, is Daniel James. It was a shame he didn't score against Leicester, because he could have become, the first player since the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer era, to score, in his first 3 Old Trafford games. But obviously, that didn't materialise. But I'd say Daniel James is still a prospect and needs time to develop, and I think there is still, improvements needed in his game. But he's done really, really well so far. What I've seen of him at Man United this season, he's replicating, what he did in his, what he did last season, with Swansea, because he only made his senior debut back in February 2018, don't forget. But I think he's been a fruition so far. But in regards to Wan-Bissaka, he's doing really, really well. And if he does keep the consistency up, I think his valuation, will continue to grow, if he does keep the consistency up. Quite a lot of people believe that Wan-Bissaka, has been one of our most consistent signings so far. But I do believe, he can be our fullback for the next decade, can Wan-Bissaka. I think he can emulate into like what Gary Neville, because I did say, before we brought Wan-Bissaka in, we didn't really have a good defensive right back, since we had the likes of Gary Neville. So that's what I said. But I think Wan-Bissaka, really, really good player. His distribution's good. He shows that ability to play out from the back. And he is only 21 years of age. And I think so far this season, he's replicating, what he did with Crystal Palace last season, because he did well with Palace last season. And don't forget, he only made his senior debut back in February 2018. Did Wan-Bissaka. Obviously, could be rested tonight for the game against tomorrow, should I say, for the game against Estania. I think Solskjaer, will rest, in some imperative players, for the game, to be quite honest here. But Saka, like I said, he had to withdraw from the England squad, don't forget, a couple of weeks ago. And obviously in that aspect, that had to make him, that had to prevent him, from making his England senior debut. So he would have been infuriated about that. Obviously, he sustained a back injury, but obviously there was doubts before the Leicester game last week, and he could have missed that game, due to the injury. But he actually, participated in that game, which was very, very good. And Harry Maguire, I think he's settled in at the football club, really, really well, as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was saying, the other week. He's blending, he's complementing Vince Lindelof in that back line, fantastically well. Harry Maguire's done really, really well. His distribution's good, obviously well Premier League proven. he's 26 years of age, and he has still, got a lot of development in him. And I know Manchester United, paid £80 million for Harry Maguire. Obviously, he's the most expensive defender in the world. He's the second most expensive signing at the football club. And maybe we did overpay for Harry Maguire. Maybe that figure of £80 million was too much. But I did say in these markets this day and age, you have got to overpay for players, and we're known for spending big on players and overpaying for players anywhere. And then when it comes to letting them go, we let them go for next to nothing. So in that aspect, that's bad business in the football club. But we've done that, a few times this summer. Prime example, we did it with Darmian. We lost out on just over £9 million on him because we let him go for just over £3 million when we paid just over £12 million for him from Torino back in 2015 under the Louis van Gaal era. Under Herrera, we paid £29 million for him from Atletico Bilbao, back in 2014. We had him 5 years and then let him go on a free transfer, earlier on in the summer. So that's really, really bad business and that from the football club. But yeah, Harry Maguire, I think, he's really, really settled in well as a Manchester United player. But I have been very, very impressed. So I'm happy, in the aspect, that we have addressed, some of the problematic areas. But, we haven't addressed all the problematic areas. But I do keep saying, it was going to be always difficult for us, to address all the problematic areas in one summer transfer window. Because this has only been Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first summer as Manchester United manager. But yeah, we did address some of the problematic areas. But, like I said, we didn't get that midfielder in. Don't forget, throughout the course of the summer as well, we was in search for a right winner. So there is still, problematic areas in the squad, that do need to be addressed. But I do believe that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, does need to be given more time. Like I said, he needs to be given more time, to make further investment in January or perhaps next summer. Because I do believe, throughout the course of this summer, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, wasn't back term enough. And I think, the board did confirm at the start of the season that Solskjaer wasn't back term enough, and I think they've come to terms that well, they've assured, that he will be back in January or perhaps next summer. But definitely no further more investment is needed in the squad. I do believe, some of the players, we was in for throughout the course of the summer. It's probably more than likely, we will reignite our interest in them in January, and we'll maybe leave some of them until next summer. But yeah, so don't forget, Bruno Fernandes, was one of our main priority targets, throughout the course of the summer. Don't forget, we're in for him for the entirety of the summer, but obviously, we didn't, a move never materialised there for Bruno Fernandes. And I did say at the time, I would have been excited about the prospects of Bruno Fernandes, playing alongside Paul Pogba in our midfield, because I do believe, they would have complemented each other, fantastically well. So we could go back in for him in January. Obviously, recent reports have actually, indicated out saying that, we've identified James Maddison and Jadon Sancho as our number one priority targets for next summer. So reportedly, according to reports, it's looking like we're going to go in for them next summer. We are aware that we're going to have to pay. It's going to cost us a substantial amount, to recommend Maddison and Sancho into the football club. Probably Maddison's going to cost us in the region of around 70 or 80 million pounds. Probably Jadon Sancho is going to cost us around 100 million pounds. But don't forget, Man United have got that we've got that financial power to meet them valuations and that. James Maddison, reportedly said, we've been interested in James Maddison since June. We was only tentatively linked with him throughout the course of summer. Like what I mean is, we didn't identify him as our number one priority targets. For us to get James Maddison, like I said, we're going to have to pay probably around 70 or 80 million pounds. So Leicester in that aspect, going to demand a similar fee, to what they did do for Harry Maguire. But we'll probably go in for James Maddison next summer. Don't forget, this is only James Maddison's second season in the Premier League, with Leicester. Obviously, it was only his debut season last season in the Premier League, but I thought he was one of the standout players last season. He was involved in 14 goals last season, was James Maddison. I think he also created more chances than any other player. I think he created around 100 chances last season in the Premier League, so that's really, really good. In that statistic, is really, really good. I think he's got 4 years left on his current contract with Leicester, and he is only 22 years of age. Primarily an attacking midfielder. Obviously, probably the club has seen him as a replacement for Paul Pogba, despite the fact that Paul Pogba, remained loyal to the football club this summer. Obviously, we still know that his plans for the future, is to leave Manchester United and probably, make a move to Real Madrid. But yeah, James Maddison would be a good adequate replacement for him, and I think he would be the right solution for Man United.
Leicester, I think, paid around £20 million for James Maddison last summer from Norwich, because he did serve, a good couple of years with Norwich, and that, also began his career with Coventry when he was a lot younger. And I do believe at that point, there was quite a few teams, tracking James Maddison. I think he also had a loan spell in Scotland with Aberdeen. I think he's provided a couple of assists so far this season for Leicester. I thought he did well in the game, against us at the weekend, did Maddison. I think he had a chance or two here and there. He had a chance or two here and there. He's primarily attacking midfielder, but actually, Brendan Rodgers has played James Maddison on the left, quite a few times. So he would fit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's transfer strategy perfectly, because obviously he's a young, upcoming, British player. But I think, he would add depth in our midfield with James Maddison without a shadow of a doubt. So I would love him, to come in to the football club. In regards, to Jadon Sancho, from Borussia Dortmund, don't forget, we was in for him, throughout the course of the summer. Obviously, we actually identified Jadon Sancho as our number one priority target, earlier on in the summer. This was in January, we identified Jadon Sancho as our number one priority target. But our move, got screwed for Jadon Sancho, obviously, with our failure to qualify for the Champions League. And I did say in that aspect, that went against us in the summer transfer window of getting all the players that we did want in, because I did say, certain players at a certain calibre and level, would have had reservations about joining the football club and that. But yeah, so I think Jadon Sancho, he's set to leave Borussia Dortmund next summer. Like I did say, I'd love Jadon Sancho at Manchester United, and I would be excited about the prospects of Jadon Sancho playing alongside the likes of Rashford, Martial, and Daniel James in our attacking line. And Jadon Sancho is primarily a right winger. He can also play centrally, but he's primarily a right winger. He is only 19 years of age. This is his second season now. Well, no, it's not. It's his third season at Borussia Dortmund, but he's had, 2 good seasons at Borussia Dortmund, as Jadon Sancho is under contract with Borussia Dortmund until 2022. But obviously, based on his performances in the last couple of years with Dortmund, obviously his valuation has continued to persistently grow. So obviously now, he's probably worth around £100 million. Like I did say, it's also beneficial. He's had experience of playing in the Premier League. Don't forget, Jadon Sancho, did serve a couple of years with Manchester City, but he never really got assured, first team opportunities at Manchester City. So this is the main factor reason, why he left Manchester City, to join Borussia Dortmund. And Borussia Dortmund, I got him for next to no. They only paid them around £7 or £8 million. So reportedly, we've identified them as our number one priority targets for next summer. But I'd love, the duo to come to Manchester United. There is a possibility chance as well. We could reignite our interest in Sean Longstaff maybe in January or maybe next summer. Because don't forget, Man United were in for him, throughout the course of the summer. But definitely, further more investment is needed in the squad. I did initially say, at the start of the season, our expectations this season, will be to finish in that top 4, and maybe perhaps win some silverware, because we've been lacking silverware in the last 6 years or so. And I did say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has got to exceed these expectations at Manchester United. He's got to exceed these expectations at Manchester United and that. And I did say, I hope Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tenure at Manchester United, does become successful. Like I did say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is our 4th permanent manager, since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously, I did say, we're not really known for a sacking club, despite the fact, that 3 managers have already been sacked, since the Alex Ferguson era. We've had different managers with different philosophies, but I did say, we haven't got the structure, to keep sacking our managers. And I know we haven't enjoyed a great start to this season so far, but it is only early days, we're only 5 games into the season, so far this season, we've won 1, we've won 2, we've drawn 2, and of course, we have lost 1, but it was good that we did get. It was good that we got back to winning ways against Leicester last weekend, and I thought it was a good result. If you take into account with the amount of injuries Man United had, and we come up against a pretty decent Leicester side, because they've enjoyed a pretty decent start to this season. It was also good that we did keep a clean sheet. So hopefully that result can boost us, but give us some confidence and give us a boost in that. And hopefully now we can go on a winning run, because we do want to get that top 4 at least this season. Obviously we do want to get back into the Champions League. I think we've actually failed to qualify for the Champions League 3 times out of the 6 seasons, since the Alex Ferguson era. So that justifies, how inconsistent we have been in the last 6 or 7 years or so. 6 or 7 years or so, but definitely, we've got to get that top 4 this season without a shadow of a doubt. But like I said, we have got big ambitions for the future, and obviously, them ambitions are to get back to winning silverware, and this is obviously something that, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, does want to bring back to the football club. Wants to, get us back winning silverware. He wants to get us back being competitive. He wants to bring the fear factor and that winning mentality back to the football club, and we know it hasn't been, none of that's been there, since the Alex Ferguson era. But I think, definitely Ole Gunnar Solskjaer does need time. Some of his tactics, are questionable. Don't get me wrong. But, I think, he definitely, does need more time. Don't forget, Ferguson didn't win out in his first 4 years as Manchester United manager, when he got appointed in from Aberdeen, was it back in 84 or 85? He didn't win out in his first 4 years and that, and he was on the verge of getting the sack, but he didn't. And then look what he produced and that, we had 20 odd years of success under Alex Ferguson. I did say, regardless of who our manager is, I doubt very, very much that we're going to replicate what we did under Ferguson. I don't think, no one's going to ever follow, Alex Ferguson's legacy, and that's obviously something we've got to accept. I don't think that's ever going to happen in that. But Solskjaer, you can still quite frankly say he's in the process still of rebuilding this Manchester United squad. And he did say earlier on this summer, he believes he's following Alex Ferguson's philosophy. But Solskjaer is a club legend. He's a great player for Manchester United for 11 years. He flourished under Alex Ferguson's guidance and that. So yeah. For me, he does need more time at the football club. Even if we're not, competing for the top 4 by January, I still believe, he shouldn't be sacked, and, he needs more time at Manchester United because Because if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was sacked, who would you, recommend into the football club? That is the question. Don't forget, before, we actually, recommended Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and, don't forget, we was in for Pochettino for quite some time. There was talks about Zinedine Zidane, possibly, coming into the football club. And at the time, Jose Mourinho got sacked, obviously, Mauricio Pochettino, was heavily linked, with a managerial role at Manchester United and that. And I did say, Pochettino is a really, really good manager. He's now into his 6th season as Tottenham manager and that. But he hasn't won any silverware, so in that aspect, he hasn't, got that proven pedigree out of winning many silverware, as Mauricio Pochettino. I think his expectation levels at Tottenham, will be to, win some silverware and obviously, be more competitive and that. And he hasn't accomplished this, so far as Mauricio Pochettino. Obviously, he also had a good short tenure with Southampton as well, before he actually, went, to Tottenham Pochettino. But, his managerial tenure's been so good at Tottenham so far. Like I said, it's his 6th season now. And at the time we was in for Pochettino, we would have had to pay a commission of around 35 or 40 million pounds, to get him in. And obviously, our preference, obviously, we just went with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, over Mauricio Pochettino, because obviously Solskjaer knows the traditions of the club, he knows, the club inside out. Obviously he was also a cheaper solution. We only paid a couple of £1 million, to get Solskjaer in as interim manager at the football club. We paid Moldova, was it couple of £1 million to get him in as interim. He did really, really well in that 3-month period. Did Solskjaer, when he was interim manager, the results were good, the performances were good, and he got the best out of these group of players. And then obviously we paid a further, £7 or £8 million, to Mould, to obviously, give him the job permanently. Obviously he's been permanent manager at Man United since March early on this year, and it's just seemed to have all gone wrong, since that point. But yeah, so yeah, I'm still going to back Ole Gunnar Solskjaer all the way. Like I said, I've got element of concerns about him. Also, we do know that he hasn't really, got that experience as a manager, not really to the highest level. So that you can also take that into account. That's also another element of concern. But yeah, but like I did say, Man United, we have got games coming up thick and fast. Obviously, we've got FC Astana at home tomorrow. That's when our Europa League, campaign begins. Obviously, West Ham on Sunday. Like I did say, hopefully, some players can regain full finish, for the game against West Ham on Sunday. Hopefully Pogba and Martial can be back for West Ham. Then obviously, we do go to Rochdale, I think, at home in the Carabao Cup. That's on the 25th. And obviously, we do go to Arsenal. Well, we play Arsenal at Old Trafford at the end of this month. So, games are coming up thick and fast. If you ask me, I think Manchester United, do need to try and win every single one of them games. But you did see my preview yesterday, for the Manchester United FC Astana game. Obviously, it is at Old Trafford tomorrow evening. 8 o'clock kickoff. And like I said, I think it's a game. Arguably Manchester United, should win. I think in this particular game, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, should go with the youth. We're especially reflect on the injuries anyway. He's going to make alterations in the squad, but I think he'll make vast majority of changes. From the 1-0 victory over Leicester. I do believe, like I said, some players, imperative players, could be dropped and that for the game, to be saved for the game on Sunday against West Ham. But yeah, I think quite a lot of players, young players, should participate in this game against FC Astana. Like I did say, we know none of the injured players are going to be playing. Well, I should presume anyway. So we know Diego Dalot, he's got a groin problem. It's obviously unknown, when he will be back from injury. Obviously Luke Shaw. Now we do know he's out with a hamstring injury. I think he's expected to regain full fitness for the game against Arsenal at the end of this month. So Luke Shaw could probably miss West Ham on Sunday. Luke Shaw's obviously missed the last 2 games due to injury, and we do know that Luke Shaw is a very very imperative player. He's analysing the majority of his Man United career. I think he has he's mainly done well as Luke Shaw. He has had some rough patches. He obviously had a bad spell under Mourinho, but prior to that, I think Luke Shaw's been consistent. Don't forget Luke Shaw won the double player of the season last season. Reflecting on his impressive performances with the football club. But I think now Luke Shaw's into his 5th season as a Manchester United player. But obviously due to Luke Shaw's absence anywhere, Young's played in the last 2 games. But I think again this could be another game that Ashley Young could be participating in. So I think he could revert to that left back position yet again in this particular game. But we have, got quite a few fullbacks in the team. We've got Bissaka. Obviously, you've got Rojo, that can play as a fullback. So possibly Rojo, could be involved in this game. Anthony Martial, he won't be playing in this game. Obviously, he has missed the last 2 games as Anthony Martial, with injury. Obviously, he's had a fight injury as Anthony Martial, and hopefully, well, we know his injury, he's not too severe, but he has missed the last 2 games. So, obviously, in the last 2 games, Rashford has been, fulfilling Anthony Martial's role in that central position. But yeah, Martial, should definitely, be back by Sunday. And, I think if Martial, can avoid sustaining any more injuries and he can keep the consistency up, because before he sustained his injury early on this season, I thought, he was doing really, really well. I think he can score from at least between 15 and 20 goals this season. That's a goal tally I've set him. But he is a very, very good player, he's Martial. He is only 23 years of age. He has, still got a lot of development in him. Don't forget the football club gave him a new 5-year deal back in January. And he's on a substantial amount, Martial. Don't forget the club give him that number 9 shirt at the start of the season, so he's playing more central this season because he does seem to be more effective in that central position. But they are comparable in that aspect. Martial and Rashford, they can both play central, they can both play out wide. But to be quite honest with you, I don't know Rashford's preferred position, because Rashford hasn't had a great start, to this season. Despite the fact he scored the winning penalty, against Leicester, and he obviously missed a penalty, early on in the season in the 2-1 defeat to Crystal Palace and that. He hasn't performed too good this season, Marcus Rashford. I don't think he's been the worst player, but I don't think he's performed, to his best in that. But I think mainly this season, when Martial's at full fitness, I think he'll mainly, play on the flank, to be quite honest. Maybe he will get his chances to play centrally, but I think Martial, will play more centrally, because he seems to stand out more there. Because he seems to stand out more there. So, yeah. Like I said, Eric Bay is a long-term absence. We do know that, he's out with injury. He's out with an injury, I think, until either after Christmas or the New Year. So he's a long-term absence. I said, Man United could be open to getting rid of him, in the future. Obviously, reflecting on the amount of injuries he's had, not to do with his bad performances, because, when he's fully fit, Eric Bay is a very, very imperative player. He holds his line and that, fantastically well. So he is a very, very good player, Eric Bay and that. But, I think Man United would consider moving him on. We'd obviously probably look to at least recoup the initial £30 million that we did pay for him from Villarreal back in 2016. Because now I think he's now into his 4th season as a Manchester United player. He has been here since the Jose Mourinho era. Don't forget, Fosu Mensah's long-term absence. Fosu Mensah's one of the young upcoming players. Don't forget, he only returned to Man United earlier on in the summer because he had been on loan with Fulham last season with Fosu Mensah. So he's out. He's a long-term absence. Lee Grant is out with injury. We do know quite recently, that Jesse Lingard has been out ill, but Jesse Lingard, I think, should be okay, to play in the game against FC Mestania. I think the vast majority of Man United fans, don't want him to participate at this present time anyway, due to his inconsistency in that. But I still believe, due to his inconsistency, he is still the long-term solution for Man United. So Lingard did, miss the game against Leicester, due to illness. So yeah, we have got quite a few injury problems in that. Like I said, Pogba, he should be okay, for the game against West Ham on Sunday. We do know that he's been out with an ankle injury. Obviously, he missed the 1-0 victory over Leicester. And we do know the difference Paul Pogba makes in that midfield, when he's to his potential best. But he withdrew from the France squad, a couple of weeks ago, obviously due to the ankle injury. So in that aspect, he would have been disappointed because we do know that Paul Pogba loves France. He loves to represent France and he won the World Cup with them last summer. So we have got quite a few injuries and that in the squad. So all the players that are injured, I don't think any of them, will be participating tomorrow evening. But like I did say, we have got a lot of young players in the squad, that are developing and trying to improve at Manchester United. And I think, in this particular game against FC Astana, I think the likes of Mason Greenwood should be starting from the start. I think Chong should be starting from the start and that. And in regards to Mason Greenwood, I think, Solskjaer did quite recently say, that he's considering giving Mason Greenwood more of a prominent role at Manchester United. Because I think Solskjaer recently, gave his overall analysis on, Rashford, and he would actually, becoming irritated with Rashford's recent performances. So he was considering giving Mason Greenwood more of a prominent role at the football club. And Solskjaer assured anyway at the start of this season that, Mason Greenwood, will be getting more first team opportunities. Greenwood did well throughout pre-season. Mason Greenwood, he's only 17 years of age. I think it's his chance, to fulfill that number 9 role. See how he can do. He's only made 4 substitute appearances, so far this season. But he needs to get a game from the start. I'm surprised he didn't start in the game against Leicester, to be quite honest with you. I'm surprised he didn't start him from the start. But he's demanding more playing time. He needs to get that playing time. So when's he going to start this kid? And I think tomorrow is the opportunity to give Mason Greenwood that opportunity he wants. Obviously, Chong, he played his first game this season in the 1-0 victory over Leicester. Didn't start from the start, but obviously, came on as a substitute and that. Obviously, these young players like Greenwood and Chong, they got the experience throughout pre-season and that. And Solskjaer did say, in regards to Chong, like he did basically say about Mason Greenwood, he's been assured more first team opportunities this season. He recently said that Chong has been in negotiations with the football club over a new contract. Obviously, don't forget he received loan offers from PSV and his former club Feyenoord early on this summer. But Chong had turned these loan offers down because he wants to, remain loyal to Manchester United. Chong is a right winner, like I said. He only broke into the senior squad last season, but in overall he's been at Manchester United 4 years. I think now as Chong, but he should be in line to start tomorrow. Don't get me wrong. Angel Gomez, I think he should be playing tomorrow. Whether he starts or not, I do not know, but actually should be involved in the game. So there could be quite a few players that do make their first appearances, for Man United, tomorrow this season. And like I said, I think McTominay should definitely keep his place in the team. Maybe Fred, could get given the start in this particular game. Fred hasn't started the game yet this season either. Andrews Pereira could play, maybe dropped, not too sure about that. Wan-Bissaka probably could start. He's obviously our first choice, right? But actually Solskjaer may decide to rest him, for the game against West Ham at the weekend and that. If Wan-Bissaka, is to be rested, then that means Rojo, could be in line, to get given the opportunity. Young could play at right back, and obviously, Rojo, could play at left back. Don't forget, Rojo has not yet made an appearance for Man United this season in the Premier League, so he could make his first appearance tomorrow evening. Phil Jones has not yet made an appearance in the Premier League this season. I think he actually, could start the game. Phil Jones, I think he could be playing alongside Vitz Lindelof in that back line. Possibly could even be playing alongside Alex Tuanzebe, because possibly Alex Tuanzebe could be playing in this game. And despite the fact that, Harry Maguire and Victor Lindelof, are our first choice centre backs, obviously now they're all Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's first choice. I still think, Alex Tuanzebe, should, get given his opportunities. But yeah, I think definitely, Harry Maguire and Lindelof will be rested, or at least one of them, if not both of them, are without a shadow of a doubt. So definitely, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will make alterations. De Gea could even be dropped for this game. He could actually, go with Sergio Romero, and obviously, Romero's got that experience of, being in the Europa League. Don't forget. So we may think, based on that, it's beneficial, that we do, play him in goal, for this particular game. We do know that Romero is our second choice goalkeeper. Obviously, behind David De Gea and that. He did well in the FA Cup games last season. Did Sergio Romero. Will Solskjaer go with a 4-2-3-1? I did say this season he'll go with that formation on a regular basis. Sometimes he'll probably go with a 4-3-3 and that. He'll try all sorts of different, formations and that, see which one's the best. But I think he'll mainly, go with that 4-2-3-1 formation, if I'm going to be quite honest with you. But yeah, we'll make alterations in the squad, and I think analysing, Man United, are good enough, to win the Europa League. We even won the Europa League a couple of years ago, back under the Jose Mourinho era, we won the Europa League. Obviously, we won it against Ajax by 2-0. It was a really, really good achievement, if you take it into account. Won the Europa League and that. Obviously, Chelsea won it last season, beating Arsenal by 4-1 in the final. But yeah, I think Man United are definitely not good enough to win it. I don't really know much, like I said, about FC Astana. I know the Kazakhstan. They're sitting third in the Kazakhstan Premier League. I think they're actually halfway through their current season. But I think this is actually the first ever competitive meeting between the Premier League side and the Kazakhstan side. Our record recently in the Europa League has been good. I know I wasn't in it last season, but overall we're unbeaten in our last 11 Europa League games and all that. We've obviously got in our group, we've got FC Astana, we've got Partizan Beograd, however you pronounce the name, and we've got AZ Alkmaar in our Europa League group. But yeah, this is a particular game we've got the opportunity to play the youngsters. Also, the game against Rochdale and Cowbell Cup, that's also another game we can go with the youngsters as well. Yeah. But like I did say, analysing our recruitment policy, isn't too good, to be quite honest. And I think, Solskjaer was talking about our recruitment policy, earlier on in the summer. And because obviously, we wasn't competitive enough in the summer. Even prior to the summer, in the recent windows, we haven't been competitive enough. We didn't get anyone in January. Reflecting back last summer, we didn't get our number one priority target. So in that aspect, that is very, very disappointing. And we are aware that, reflecting on the amount of money that's been invested into the football club, in the last 6 or 7 years, we do know we should be in much more of a commanding position than we're in, because obviously over £140 million has been spent under Solskjaer this summer. Just under £400 million was spent under Jose Mourinho. Over £200 million, I think, was spent under the Louis van Gaal era. Around £67 million was spent under Moyes. So we spent in the region of nearly around £900 million in the last 6 or 7 years on players. If you want to take into account what we spent under Ferguson, obviously, it's way over £1 billion. Obviously, if you want to take into account, certain players we've got on big wages and that, because we have got players on big contracts at the football club. But yeah, I did say, we need to get a director of football, and, that's very, very imperative. Obviously, throughout the course of summer, Man United, were in search for a director of football, don't forget. Obviously, there was quite a few, former United players, linked with the director's role at the football club. Obviously, the likes of Evra, Ferdinand and Darren Fletcher were linked with a role, but we didn't manage to get a director of football in. And I did say, we need a director of football in, because that's, the structural change that we do need at the football club. That's a structural change we do need at the football club. And obviously reports were speculating out last week. Doesn't assure that it's going to happen at all, but it was speculating, saying that, Ed Woodward, wanted Edwin van der Sar to come to Man United, to return to Manchester United, to become the new director of football and that. But it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Obviously Edwin van der Sar's work at Ajax has been very, very good. Obviously he's been CEO there since 2016, and obviously he's got that experience, and that's obviously what Ed Woodward is going on. So if van der Sar was to come to United as the new director, I think, he would be, very reliable, to oversee our, transfer business and that. But yeah, so nothing much more is really updated anyway, in regards to the director of football, like I did update you the other week. We do know, we do know that really good news, come out a couple of days ago with in regards to David De Gea. We do know now David De Gea has committed his long-term future with Manchester United, which is very good news. We do know he has signed a new long-term contract with the football club. He signed a 4-year deal, which keeps him at the football club until 2023. There's also an option of a 5th year. So that's really good. Also now in this new deal, David De Gea is the highest paid goalkeeper in the world because he's on from between 350 grand to 375 grand a week on his new deal. Obviously, for the time we was in negotiations getting him a new contract anyway. David De Gea, was demanding around 350 grand a week. But yeah, very happy. He signed this new long-term contract. It's a privilege, to have had him 8 years, because I think he's obviously now into his 9th season at Manchester United, so he has been at the club nearly a decade. So he has been a long servant here. This is now his 9th season. I analysing his Man United career. I think he's had 7.5 good years the football club. We do know David De Gea has been a bit average in the last 5 to 6 months. But I'll still say, I'd still say, he's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Like Solskjaer said, he said he's the best goalkeeper in the world, and Solskjaer said anywhere he was confident, that David De Gea, would sign a new contract with the football club. But I'm glad he's committed his long-term future in Man United, so it ends speculation regarding his future, because at one point earlier on in the summer, it was looking very likely that David De Gea was going to be leaving. There was quite a few teams in for him. Don't forget PSG went in for him. They're regarded as the favourites to get him. Real Madrid have been long admirers of him. Don't forget, Real Madrid, they were on the brink of getting him in 2015, but due to fax machine, the deal never materialised. And I'm surprised he didn't make a return back to Spain, because obviously he began his footballing career in Spain. He's originally from Spain, he's David De Gea, and that. Obviously, he progressed up the ranks of Atletico Madrid, when he was a lot younger. And I think we paid around £18.9 million for his services back in 2011. So David De Gea has been at the football club, since the Alex Ferguson era. Obviously, Juventus also recently inquired about getting him, but it actually said, at the beginning of pre-season that, David De Gea, was on the verge of signing, a new 6-year contract at Man United, and it didn't actually say his contract, should have been announced, by obviously after we got back from pre-season, but obviously, it never materialised. But it was only the other week saying that, we was at risk of losing David De Gea on a free transfer. It reportedly said, he was set to reject a contract offer from Man United. But yeah, we have now got him this new long-term contract, so very happy about that. And David De Gea is 28 years of age, so he has still got a lot of development in him, so his contract will take him to at least the age of 33. But I think he could actually he could actually spend the rest of his career at Manchester United, believe it or not. But like I said, he's been a good servant to the football club. He's despite our lack of competitiveness now for a number of years, he's remained loyal to the football club, because obviously he loves the football club. Does David De Gea. Like I said, he's made 367 appearances for the club now in all competitions. Made his 367th appearance in the 1-0 victory against Leicester. He's won everything he domestically. He's won the Smack Buzzer Player of the Year 4 times out of 5 seasons. Reflecting on his impressive performances and that. But I'm really glad he's staying. There was a couple of goalkeepers in our agenda, who could have replaced him at the football club. Obviously, there was Jan Blanc in our agenda. There was also, Jordan Pickford from Everton on our agenda, but they're nowhere near the same calibre or level as David De Gea. But I did say, if we hadn't got him this new contract, it would have been very beneficial to cash in for him in January rather than letting go on a free transfer, because he did have under a year left on his current contract. Don't forget. And I did say at full value, he's worth £100 million. Is De Gea. But obviously, maybe his valuation, would have decreased, in the last 6 months or so, reflecting on his, bad performances and that. But I'd still say if we hadn't got him the contract, I still think we could maybe cash in around 25 or 30 million pounds for him in January. But yeah, I'm glad he's staying out with the football club. That's the most imperative thing. So yeah, very good news in regards to David De Gea. Like I did say, in regards to Paul Pogba, I still believe he's going to leave the club in the future. Is Paul Pogba? I think he could leave Man United in January. I think he could make his move to Real Madrid in January. Don't forget, we still want around, we're sticking to our valuation basically, want around £179 million. We wanted that, figure, earlier on in the summer, well, somewhere around that figure, that's what we wanted early on this summer. Obviously, Real Madrid were not willing to pay it in that. Whether they're willing to pay it in January or not, I do not know. I'm glad we kept Paul Pogba at the football club anyway, especially, with our failure to land a midfielder in, throughout the course of the summer. And obviously Real Madrid throughout the course of the summer anyway, they spent a substantial amount, they spent £300 million on 5 players. Obviously they did sell some players, so they did, generate some of the money back. But Zinedine Zidane, will be infuriated, that he didn't get his number one priority target, because Zinedine Zidane's number one priority target, obviously, was, Paul Pogba throughout the course of the summer. Christian Eriksen was on his agenda, but obviously Paul Pogba was his Madrid's preference over Christian Eriksen. Even though Christian Eriksen, would have been a cheaper solution than that. But Paul Pogba confirmed early on this summer anyway he wanted to leave the football club. He said he was seeking for a new challenge. He publicly admitted that he wanted to leave the football club. This is what, Paul Pogba, had basically said. And like he did say early on this summer, he classified Real Madrid as one of the biggest clubs in the world. So his actual first choice preference, was Real Madrid. But I think there's still a possibility chance that, that Man United could possibly renew his contract. There was talks the other week that Ed Woodward had been in negotiation with Paul Pogba's agent, regarding a new contract and that. Well, Raiola discussed with Man United, regarding Pogba's future and over the possibility of renewing his contract. Paul Pogba's still got 2 years left on his Man United contract with an option, to extend it by a further year. And he's on around 290 grand a week. So Pogba, is one of the highest paid players at the football club. But yeah, I think he'll still end up, leaving the football club, will Paul Pogba. So the main part of this video, was to give you the news about Nemanja Matic. Now, reportedly 4 clubs are in for him. I did say earlier on this week, it did say that Juventus had inquired about getting him on a free transfer next summer. But I think Matic is one of the players that definitely, do need to leave Manchester United. So anyway, guys, drop your comments, likes below on this channel. If you do consider subscribe, as always, and take care. God bless, and I'll see you all again very, very soon.